6:30, so I'm going to go ahead and call the December 11th, 2025 Versailles-Midway-Woodford County Planning Commission meeting to order. And if you would please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before we start the meeting, Judge Kay has asked if he could say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the Commission, Director Hunter, all of the guests that are in the courtroom tonight, and staff for our Planning Commission. As you all know, our chair, Ms. Patty Perry, is retiring from her position as chair after 15 years of service on the Planning Commission. So on behalf of Woodford County and the Fiscal Court, we'd like to thank you for that service. We'd like to recognize you for exemplary service in both serving on the commission, but particularly in your leadership as chair. In our current world and the current environment, to have somebody that is steady, that is calm, that uses common sense, and that respects everyone's opinions is a true treasure. And you have done that and respected everybody who's come before the commission and expressed their opinions. And I would say, as a Woodford County, and it makes me happy to see that folks are engaged, and I hope folks will continue to be engaged. But you've always been a leader that has allowed public input and debate and welcomed folks' opinions, and we appreciate that. I want to say that you, as both the chair and as a citizen of Woodford County, are somebody that has led with dignity, somebody that's led with intelligence, someone that has led with passion for what you're doing, and we really appreciate that. So on behalf of the community, I just want to thank you for your time and your service to Woodford County. We will miss you, but we wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. I will say, when J.D. Wolf called me and asked me to have lunch with he and John Cole many years ago, little did I know it would lead to this. For all these years, when I first started, I didn't know a lot about planning and zoning. I'd been through the process once or twice, but I didn't know much about it. But through the leadership of Patty Wilson and now Steve, as well as commission members and our judge and the mayors that I've served under, I have learned a great wealth of knowledge and information. The biggest thing I have learned is that there's a mighty fine line between not enough and too much. And finding that balance is nearly impossible. So I commend you all as commissioners for continuing to serve, and anyone that chooses to step up and take this role, because it's not easy. There's just no easy way, and it's very difficult to make these decisions, keeping in mind what's best for the community, and I commend you all for stepping up and taking part. So let's move on with the roll call.
Randall Bohannon. Here. Rich Shine. Here. Tim Middleton.
Here.
Patty Perry.
Here.
Chad Wells.
Here.
Chris Sharp.
Here.
Whitney Stepp. Doug Curl.
Here.
Floyd Green.
Here.
Thank you, Kim. The minutes from the November 13th, 2025 meeting were in your packet. If you all have had a chance to look at those, if anyone, hearing no changes, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have 3 items under non-public hearings this evening. The first one is Joe Carter has applied for an approval of a subdivision. It's a minor plat on a tract of land containing 12.004 acres, and that's located at 10351 Clifton Road, with a mailing address of Frankfort, but of course it's here in Woodford County. The property is zoned small community A4. Are you doing that, or
Kim's gonna
Kim?
do the plat, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this plat was, you all saw this in September as a zone change from A1 to A4. It was approved by the commission and then ratified by the fiscal court in November. They came back with this plat to record the 2 lots. Tract 2 does have road frontage, which goes through Tract 1. It's a 10-foot part of the property on Tract 1 so that it can get the road frontage on Clifton Road. I went through TRC and all the deficiencies were corrected, and it is in order for your all's approval.
Is there any questions or comments from commissioners on this property? You, Kim. Hearing none, is anyone prepared to take action?
subdivision minor plat on this plan containing 12.004 acres of 10351 Clifton Road.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. The second item on the agenda is Ball Homes LLC has applied for an approval of a subdivision. This is a major final plat for Paynes Crossing Unit 1B. And this is on a tract of land containing 18.936 acres, 201 Granger Lane here in Versailles. And the property is already zoned single-family residential R1B and R1C and two-family residential R2. Kim?
Steve's going to do this
Major
one.
plat, okay. Yeah, this is a major plat. Kim's been doing the minor plats and doing a good job working through those. This is a major final plat. This is the aerial that a couple years old here. And if you've gone out there, there's already dozens of homes been built. This is what was, this is Unit 1 of Paynes Crossing, which is approved for 199 lots. The first 50-some lots are already platted. Most of those are constructed. Building permits have been issued on most of those. And what we're doing tonight is the second part of that Unit 1 major plat. This is another 78 lots. The roads are in, so the way this works is the developer has to post a bond. We have a bond of $560,000 in our office for this project. And then they have to go out and construct the roads to substantial completion. When the roads are substantially complete, then the final plat can go to record. So this is the final plat approval. From a technical aspect, it can't be recorded until we do a couple extra things with the bond. And we should have those done here in the next day or two, hopefully. And then this bond will be reduced at our January meeting because most of the infrastructure is in at this time. So this is just a technical review of a final plat. It's technically correct. Everything's in place. And again, the roads are constructed, curbs are in, utilities are in, and now it's time to record the plat, and the developer then will start constructing these 78 single-family homes. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have on that. And again, this is Paynes Crossing Unit 1B.
Does anyone have any questions for Steve or comments?
And there was a new copy of a plat at your desk
Yeah.
because they added a drainage
Oh, that's right.
easement
Yep.
certification. That was the only change.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns you'd like to bring up? Hearing none, is anyone prepared to take action?
I'll make a motion that we approve item number 2, Ball Homes, major final plat at Paynes Crossing Unit 1B.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. The next item on the agenda is Midway College, Inc. has applied for an approval of a site development plan on a tract of land containing 130.053 acres, and that's located at 512 East Stevens Street and 176 Weisenberger Mill Road in Midway, and the property is zoned medium density residential R3 and agriculture A1.
Yeah, I'll handle this. So the aerial's up on the screen that shows Midway University, and there's some interesting things to note. You see the bold green line, that's the urban service boundary that runs right through the middle of the campus. The city limits is kind of underneath that urban service boundary, and then the parcel line that you see to the east is actually splits the tracks. And then you see a baseball facility and a football field. And recently, the university has a library construction project that's kind of over here where you see a parking lot. They've gotten conditional use permits through the Board of Adjustments for the baseball field, for another parking lot, and for the football field, and this is for a field house. So this project had to first go to the Board of Adjustments because of the zoning right now. They have to get conditional use permits piecemeal because the property is kind of split zoned, and I'll come back to this aerial in a second. But you can see there's the zoning map. We have R3 that's west of the urban service boundary and even kind of snakes a little bit east of the urban service boundary. Then we have agricultural zone, and the campus is kind of just spread out across 5 different parcels. The field house is going right where you would think it would go, which is right next to the sports fields, but it kind of splits the zoning line as well as sits on top of the urban service boundary, the city limits, and the parcel line. Going back, these are some shots we took. So this just went to the Board of Adjustments a couple months ago, and the Board of Adjustments did approve the field house as an addition to the CUP, but there was a condition on it that they do a site development plan, which they're here doing in front of you. And you guys have seen this on the library and other things. So as it gets to the Board of Adjustments under the CUP method of the zoning, then it comes to you all as site development plans before they then can start their construction. This is a shot kind of looking from the road up towards the hill, and again, the football field's up there. It shows you we're pretty far off the road. Everything's pretty well buffered. This is another shot kind of looking up, and you can kind of see their other athletic facility that's up there, and this is even tucked in kind of to the west of that. Again, this is the zoning line that I just showed you. These actually aren't in your packet, but these are exhibits that went to the Board of Adjustments to just show what the field house is going to look like. The architects submitted those. This shows the relationship. This exhibit's actually upside down when it goes north to south, but I guess they just wanted to show it this way so that you can see the field house. What appears to be east of the football field, that's technically west, but it shows the field house relationship. Then this is the development plan set. The challenge we have here is a couple things. The development plan from a technical aspect is spot on, pretty much has everything we need. The challenge is this exhibit right here. The actual property line that splits the zoning, or the property line, not the zoning line, goes through the corner of the building. So unfortunately, initially they were going to move the field house somewhere else. The property line going through the building is a problem from the building code standpoint. So what has to happen is they turned in their site plan showing where the field house would go in relationship to the football field and the parking lot. Again, we've got everything we need. There's the field house, the utility, the drainage plan, kind of everything's here that we need. But what needs to happen, unfortunately, on their end is they're going to have to do something with this lot line. So I'll go back and show you what they're going to have to figure out. Yeah, let me just use this one right here. They are going to have to survey the property and replat this and either shift that lot line to the east or to the west or consolidate these lots. And I think what they're planning to do is actually try to consolidate these. There's just been a ton of problems with this mixed zoning up here at the university. You know, being half in ag, half in R3, neither's the proper zoning for a campus. And I think the idea is, and then they have these outlots here up along Stevens Street. I think they got a surveyor under hire, and the goal is to consolidate all 5 lots into one, which will help with the building line going through the building, and then get all this in one kind of deed, one kind of plat. And then we would talk to them maybe about how we might be able to fix the zoning for them or work with them somehow to get the campus in the proper zoning. Because what's happened as the campus is expanding, every single time they have to go to the Board of Adjustments and do a piecemeal CUP. They just built a small parking lot. They put the library where the parking lot was, and they built a new parking lot, and they had to go back and get another CUP for the parking lot, now another CUP for the field house. Down the road, the best scenario for them would someday to just get in a zone, like an office zone that allows campuses, and then they can just add amenities as they need in the future. But right now, this lot line is problematic. So our recommendation on this one is the site development plan is technically correct. It went to TRC. We've got everything we need, but this approval, if you all see fit to approve it, would come with 2 conditions. One of those would be that the property has to be replatted. whether they consolidate that or move the lot line east or west. It has to be replatted before a building permit can be sought. And then the final drainage plan would be submitted at the building permit. The drainage that we have now is been reviewed, but it's conceptual drainage, and we want the final drainage plan to be filed with the building permit application. I have no idea how long it's going to take them to work through this plat process, because some of the campus has never been surveyed, as well as we got a railroad track to the north that's been there a long time. So those are always interesting surveys. But they've got someone out there now trying to figure out how to get this all surveyed, simply so they can get this lot line revised and moving forward. Again, it would have been a lot easier if they just moved the field house somewhere else.
But they just rotated.
Yeah, rotate it a little bit.
So funny enough, it has to be 5 foot off that line to meet the building code standard. So, yeah, and that's where they needed it. So, we're not going to fight with the university on that. But no, it's tough. But they're working through all that. But this is the next domino for them. Board of Adjustments a couple months ago, Planning Commission tonight. And then a plat would be back before you guys at some point in the future, and then they could actually come in here and apply for their building permit. Again, the document's technically correct. It's a multiple-page development plan. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you guys have any on the development plan aspect.
What point do they apply for a rezone for the entire campus?
Well, we've talked to them about, maybe a joint effort. If they could get this plat done and get a legal description. They're also, the city limits splits them in half, the urban service boundary splits them, that maybe we would do some kind of joint effort with the Planning Commission and the university to do some kind of what we call conversion zoning or corrective zoning action. If we could put them in, for example, the office zone, that would be where a university would be. And it doesn't allow retail, but it just allows office and schools and dorms and things of that, which is what the campus should be. The P1 zone would be probably the best zone for them, and then they wouldn't have to come and get these CUPs time after time. So it's good to know the university's growing and things are happening up there. It's a great campus, but it's just a challenge for them there trying to get these buildings built. So,
Sort of curious on the urban service boundary. Why is it cut through campus? Is that because the campus has expanded? Since
no, I think historically they probably acquired property that way. I think, that farm initially to the east was probably, the university probably acquired. It's got 2 different addresses. We got a Stevens address here, Weisenberg.
There was a farm on it.
Right, yeah.
And the campus is slowly, it's their property, and they've just slowly built towards with their athletic, you can see it goes through the tennis courts even. And that's how it is. It's clearly one campus, and it's an urban style project. And the farm actually has shifted to the north side of the railroad track. That's kind of where the farming operations are now.
Oh, yeah.
So they own property north of the railroad tracks too. So they got multiple zonings, city limits split. And by the way, the city limits is somewhat probably, there was a wreck or there was an issue on the football field. We're dispatching to different jurisdictions. I mean, it really does need to be cleaned up from jurisdictional as well as zoning. Get it either all in the city or something of that nature would be probably good for the university. But we're working towards that type of project. But right now they just want to get this field house under construction. So.
Any other questions for Steve or concerns to be raised? Hearing none, is anyone prepared to take action on this?
I would be, but my computer just died. So if I can do this, I move that we recommend the site development plan at Midway College, dependent upon the final plat.
Replatting.
Replatting and
Drainage plan.
Final drainage plan to be submitted.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
The motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing item. Vision Engineering LLC has filed an application to rezone 9.670 acres of a tract of land containing a total of 22.5 acres, and that's located at 1470 Troy Pike here in Versailles. And the requested zone change is from agriculture A1 to single family R1C. And I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Steve?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I will be recusing myself from this item tonight,
Okay.
just for the possibility of any conflict of interest or the appearance of in the future.
Understand. Mr. Hunter?
Yeah, thank you. So this should look familiar to the Planning Commission. On the screen up here is a shot of Troy Pike looking to the north. Here's another one kind of going up the roadway here, and one up by the Welcome to Versailles sign. Again, kind of some shots. I think you guys all know where this property is. This is the area of the property. It's 22.5 acres. What's before us tonight is a rezoning request on a portion of this property. I'm sure you all remember there was requests early in the year where the entire property was proposed to be rezoned, and then it was withdrawn. And the zone change is back, and the proposal is to rezone a portion of the 22 acres and develop a small portion of the prior proposed lots. And I'll go through some stuff, then we'll catch up on some of these technical aspects here. This is a zoning map, again, that shows that the property is zoned agriculture. It's inside the city limits. It's inside the urban service boundary. It's a non-conforming agricultural tract. It doesn't meet our ag tract. And as we mentioned in the prior meetings, ag property, when it's inside the urban service boundary, is no longer considered prime farmland or anything of that nature. When it's annexed into the city and it's in the urban service boundary, it's ag zone, but it doesn't carry any significance from a agricultural standpoint as far as prime farmland of that designation. This is the site development, or the general development plan. We'll come back to that in a minute, and this just shows you generally what the applicant is proposing tonight. I want to jump back to the staff report real quick and walk through a few things. This application was filed on November 20th, 2025. I want to point out that this case was back before us in the summer and it was withdrawn. Our bylaws say that when a case is withdrawn, it can't come back to the Planning Commission for 90 days. And that 90 days, I believe, lapsed in October or something like that. And then the application was refiled as a complete new application on November 20th. Again, the location of the property is 1470 Troy Pike. It's 22.5 acres. The rezoning request is actually 9.670 acres of that. It's currently zoned A1, as I pointed out here. There's the zoning map. Proposed zoning is single-family residential R1C. And again, I don't really want to bounce back to the other case, but the prior case the proposal was multifamily, so there could be a combination of townhomes and single-family. This zone change is 100% single-family detached, or R1C zoning district. The existing land use is commercial and vacant. McDougall's is a commercial operation, and the rest of the property is vacant. So from a land use standpoint, we got this category as commercial and vacant. And you can see the surrounding area is mostly comprised of single-family, some institutional uses, which would be cemetery and the school, and vacant land uses. And this is in the contemporary neighborhood land use district, which we'll talk about in a second. Page 2 of your staff report, we look at the comprehensive plan items that we think are relevant for a case of this nature, and they're outlined on pages 2 and 3 of your staff report. Those are goals and objectives for different topics. I won't go into detail on those. The developer did analysis of those on himself. Bottom of page 4, we have a paragraph where we start to talk about chapter 5 of our comprehensive plan. That deals with land use, and we start with the 11 area-wide policies. Every zone change request has to be reviewed and compared against the area-wide policies that are outlined on pages 5 and the top of page 6. You get to page 6, and we're back to that land use district that I just mentioned. And let's go to that, and then we'll go backwards here. This is our actual Versailles urban area land use district. This is the contemporary neighborhood district, and this is a zoomed in shot. The blue dots from an address standpoint is kind of landing where McDougall's is, and we're obviously, the zone change request is more to the north, but this shows that this particular parcel, the entire parcel, is in the contemporary neighborhood land use district in comprehensive plan, chapter 5, and I want to read a couple parts of that on page 6. It says that this district is intended to encompass neighborhoods which were developed was initiated after 1968. It says in areas of undeveloped land within the urban service boundary that should be developed as neighborhoods. So again, anything that you see is yellow on the map or on the future land use map. If you see yellow, that's contemporary neighborhood, and that district says if it's inside the urban service boundary, its programmed land use is residential. And it says that the existing neighborhoods are continued to be developed, and then there's a sentence in there that says new neighborhoods may be designed in a variety of ways to provide city and county residents with a variety of housing options. So that's our land use map for the urban service boundary. And again, that property is right there in that location. I want to point out something that came up at the last meeting, and we'll just kind of talk about it right now. I believe I've got the maps here. We've had a lot of different versions of the land use map over the years, and just like the prior case, I think I showed you this before. This is a 1977 land use map, and this property was shown as residential in the 1977 map. This is the 1997 map. It's shown as residential. This is the 2011 map, the 2018 map, and then again, there's the 24 map. So there's 5 land use maps that go back to 1977, and this corner on Troy Pike has always been shown as contemporary neighborhood or residential under the old map designations. You get to page 7 of the staff report, and we're in the contemporary neighborhood specific policies as they relate to general development and infrastructure development, and those are those policies on page 7 of the staff report. We get to page 8, and we're back to the development plan. The page 8 starts with the application requirements, and there's a bullet I want to point out on page 8. It's number A there. It says demonstration of appropriateness. Again, the applicant is supposed to submit something to show the planning commission how they feel the application complies with the comprehensive plan. That's actually pages 12 through 23 of the staff report. We'll get there in a second, and I'm not going to go through those, but there's several pages of the applicant's own information where they're trying to justify to you all why they feel they meet the comprehensive plan. So that's a requirement that's outlined in the zoning ordinance, and that's why that document's on page 12 of 23 of your staff report. I want to point something else out on page 9. I know traffic's probably going to come up tonight, but I want to point out it wasn't until just recently we required traffic studies in the zoning ordinance. Historically, we didn't even have a requirement. It's now part of our zoning law. However, the threshold for a traffic study in a residential setting is 50 units or greater. This is only 25 homes, so there was no traffic study submitted. But in saying that, there have been 3 prior traffic studies in this area. One, as you all remember, was done by the city, one done by another adjacent developer, and then this developer did a traffic study with that prior zone change. So we have 3 traffic studies that really aren't party to the application tonight, and there is no requirement for a traffic study of a zone change of this scale. It's in the zoning ordinance, but I just wanted to point out that that item C-2 shows you to have more than 50 units, which 50 units is basically 10 trips per unit. That's 500 trips, and that's our threshold of when you have to do a traffic study. Just want to mention that on page 9 of the staff report. Page 10, and we're getting to the development plan. The bottom of page 10, section 410.3 requires a development plan, and the elements of a development plan are outlined on the bottom of page 10. They can include any or all of the following, which are those items A through J. And then this is the development plan up on the screen that's being proposed. And just again to kind of go backwards, but just show remind the planning commission where we started. This was the first development plan from that first zone change when it was proposed to be apartments, townhomes, single family. I'm not sure this development plan ever made it to the planning commission because then there was a neighborhood meeting and that development plan was changed to this development plan, which is what you all saw at the prior zone change, which showed approximately 85 lots. It was still some townhomes up along Troy Pike as well as single family homes. This development plan has turned into this version, which again is less than 10 acres of the property. It's 25 lots, one single roadway that connects an existing stub street at Prairie Rose to Troy Pike. And it's just a portion of the property. I want to point out that the turn lane that was in the prior development plans, you can see those on every version, and that was required by the applicant's traffic study when it was 200 some units, is still in, I keep going backwards here, is still in play on this one. So even though there was no traffic study required, and in a sense no need to create any turn lanes out on Troy Pike. The developer is still building the left-hand turn lane coming to the south into the development, as well as a 3-lane configuration there at the entrance along Troy Pike with dedicated right and left-hand turns to exit from the site. So again, that's not a requirement, and there's no traffic study, but it has been left on the plan. Maybe it was just on the other plan, it was easier just leave it on there. But it is in the commitments there. So the last thing I'm going to do here on this aspect is I want to read you those conditions. It's hard to read, but what the developer has done is turned in the general development plan as required. You can see the 25 lots, see the road. But the narrative that you see on the very right, it's hard to read. It's up there under that location map. Those are the conditions that he's put forward on this project that would bind this project as part of the general development plan. And I blew those up here on my page, and I'm going to read them to you guys here. Number 1 deals with that left-hand turn lane to be constructed prior to construction. It talks that it's 220 feet with 100 foot of turn taper. Number 2 deals with the property access to Troy Pike that you see on the development plan. Number 3 says it's going to be serviced by public sanitary sewer. Number 4 deals with water, fire hydrants, fire control, etc. And fire hydrants, I mentioned that, would be installed on the property. Again, some of these are housekeeping required in the subregs anyhow. 5 deals with lighting, that there would be downward lighting, shielded lighting, and no lights would be higher than 15 feet. 6 deals with the landscape requirements of the zoning ordinance. 7 deals with underground utilities. 8 deals with stormwater issues. 9 is the sidewalk connections for the existing subdivisions. 10 deals with keeping a tree line on the eastern side of the property. And 11, fencing that water, that pond down there, making sure it's fenced for safety reasons. So those 11 conditions are what's up there in that narrative up there in the top, and those are development plan conditions where if this was approved would be binding to the developer with this development plan. And with that, we'll turn to page 12 of the staff report, and I'm going to skip right through this. These are the applicant's narrative, their comp plan justification. They run from page 12 all the way to page 23, and they're in your staff report. Page 24 of the staff report, we're looking at the zoning ordinance. And again, the prior zone change was requested to be multifamily, so the developer could do townhomes and single family. This one has been scaled back to just single family. So that's Article 7, Section 707, which is our R1C zoning district. The only thing you can do in R1C is single family detached dwellings, and that's outlined there on 707.2. And the minimum lot size is down there at the bottom of page 24, 7,500 square foot is our current standard for R1C, and then you can't exceed 4 units to the acre. This proposed plan is less than 4 units to the acre. I believe it's 2.98 units to the acre, so it's less than 3 units to the acre. The single family zone allows 4 units to the acre. So this project's way scaled back from the prior project, and it is a typical R1C development as far as our sizes. I do want to point out though, even though the minimum lot size is 7,500 square foot, 9 of the lots that are on this property, because they're corner lots or that utility easement, are actually bigger than our R1A standard of 12,000, and several of those lots are right in line with our R1B standard, and then a few of them are actually truly R1C lots. But if you look, there's several lots that are over 12,000. I think there's 9 lots of the 25 that are bigger than 12,000, which would be R1A. But they just had to be configured that way for corners and utility easements, etc. So even though it's an R1C zoning, it's very interesting. The lot sizes are mixed from 7,500 all the way up to almost 14,000, I believe, maybe a little bigger. The other review items are on the bottom of page 25. I want to point out, again, when the Planning Commission looks at zone changes, you guys are supposed to look at consistency with the land use map as well as other relevant provisions of the comprehensive plan, and I know you guys know that. The applicant acknowledged public water and sanitary sewer is available to serve this, and the fire protection would be Versailles Fire Department. And again, the new left-hand turn lane has been incorporated in the development plan. Also want to point out one other thing. There's been a lot of kind of web chatter and website stuff. There's been some calls about the text amendment that we heard a month or so ago, and some discussion that somehow this would be under that text amendment. In fact, there's a website where it shows this development plan. It shows the proposed R1C changes that were tabled, as you all remember, last month and have been sent back to the advisory committee. There's no relationship here between that text amendment that now has gone back to the committee and our R1C standards. So this project is laid out under the current zoning law and is binded by this development plan under the R1C standards we have today. That text amendment has no bearing on these 25 lots. That text amendment's has not passed. It's not out of the committee, and it's not relevant tonight on this project. This is being developed as R1C under the current zoning ordinance. But there's been a lot of calls about, well, could it get zoned and then this get just substituted with a new plan that shows 30 lots? And as I'm going to point out on the very next page, that is not possible. The zoning ordinance is very clear on that, and that's on page 26, the action you all grant, and it's right there under the page 26 under item A. It says, as a condition of granting a zoning map amendment, you have to turn in a general development plan, which this is, and it says we're agreed upon by the applicant. It is binding on the applicant or any future sale buyers. So if this is what gets approved, that's all that can happen on the property. That's also outlined on the bottom of page 27 that says parties bound by development plan. There's no bait and switch that can occur. Doesn't matter if the law changes. If this is what the planning commission passes, this is what goes forward into the future and runs with the land unless they came back and had a brand new public hearing someday. So just want to point that out. There's been a lot of questions about that, and the zoning ordinance makes that very clear on page 26 and 27. And then your findings under KRS 100 is outlined on page 28, and the cookie cutter motions are on page 29, up or down. If you get to that point tonight, and our attorney will be glad to help you wordsmith some language into whatever motion you guys choose. I'll be glad to answer any questions you all may have for me. And I believe there's a few folks here who'd like to talk to you guys about this case. And I think the applicant's here, and he'd probably be next.
Commissioners have any questions for Steve before the applicant speaks?
And I was going to ask, can I be excused? No, I'm just kidding. I think it's snowing. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, you want to,
I think he wants to swaps.
thank you.
Are those yours right there? That one, yeah, that one right there. Well, the PDF will probably work. Is that it though? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Steve, ask you a question before we get to that.
Yes, sir.
The 9.6 acres, they're going to change the, what happens to the other? Does that come before us at all, the other 12 acres?
It could in the future, but right now it would stay agriculture and just contain that existing use that's there. It could come back at a future date. It's not being proposed tonight. There's nothing in law says you have to zone an entire parcel and zone it. You can split zone parcels. You can partially zone parcels. The applicant is proposing just to zone 9 acres of the 22 and just leave the rest alone for the time being. It could come back and may never come back.
So we take that as face value, that's what's going to be,
I mean, I
don't know, I'm asking.
I will let him ask that, but I think tonight what's being proposed is piecemeal. It's happened in other areas of the community where you zone just portions, and other times they zone the whole 100 acres. You know, it can be done either way.
okay, thanks.
So you need to know that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I can flip through that and just tell me when to go.
For the record, my name is Jihad Khalani with Vision Engineering. Thank you for allowing me to present this case today. So, as Mr. Hunter mentioned, that this property has been in front of you here before in the summer. we started with over 200 unit combination of apartment and single family and townhouses and single family as mixed use of different uses of residential. Then we had the meeting with the neighbor, and there was a lot of objection about the apartment, so we eliminated the apartment and we kept the townhouses along Troy Pike and single family within the site itself. Still, there's a lot of objection from the neighbors, so still there's some objection from the planning commission hearing, so we came back with much scaled down development as a single family adjacent to single family. So the property is 1470 Troy Pike, is 22.5 acre. Currently as it's a zone A1 zone. What we are proposing A1 and R1C. So it will be single family residential next to single family residential. So on the site location is basically, I have shown here a site location. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. The proposed site layout, as Mr. Hunter mentioned, is 25 single-family lots as the site layout over here. So basically kind of on an aerial map showing that we are keeping the existing house that's on site. We are keeping the garden center not impacted. And we are extending Rose Ridge Way all the way to Troy Pike, and have a single family along both sides of the property. It will be only adjacent to Ball Home at 2 of these lots, and then there's no adjoining properties along that development as is right now. So the second page is more like zoom in kind of into the proposed layout. And so the utilities on site is going to be served by the City of Versailles. Sanitary will be City of Versailles, electric will be Kentucky Utility, and the gas will be Columbia Gas. So these are the utilities for this that will be supported on site. So, so what we are thinking, I think that this proposed zone change is in agreement with the comprehensive plan, and also we believe that this proposed zone change is consistent with the goal and objective, and consistent with the land use district map and the area-wide land use district policy. And then we can get into more detail as we go through. So the goal and objective for residential, so we believe we are in agreement with goal number 1 and goal number 2. And on the following page, we can show why we're in agreement with it. So the proposed zone change is a low-density single-family R1C zone adjacent to a single family. The subject property is located within the urban service boundary, and the property has not been used for agricultural use for many years. The subject property is underutilized property within the urban service boundary, and the proposed development will help to meet the needs for the county current and anticipated shortage of housing. And based on the Kentucky housing supply gap, that for the 2024 that has been done, it shows that Woodford County in shortage of 1163 residents, out of which 714 for sale and 449 for rental property. And then it kind of divided per AMI, and it kind of showed at the bottom what's the income range per AMI based on that. And then if we look into 2029, it shows that we are even more shortage from 1163 to 1714. And then what kind of triggered my attention is that if you look at anything above 151% of MI for 2029, for 2024 is almost 164 units. As if you look at for 2029 is 0. So what does it tell me is that
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
so what does it say is basically we are more in a shortage for smaller homes. We're not looking for larger home in the county as per the state study that has been done recently. So I thought to share this information. It may not be very relevant to the zone change, but this is very valuable information to show the need in the next 5 years is going to be for smaller home, in my opinion, than larger home. So the second goal and objective, which is transportation, I believe we are in agreement with goal number 1, 2, and 3, and also number 4 and number 7. And and why we think that way, we believe that by extending the road for Prairie Rose Way to Troy Pike, it can meet the goal and objective of the comprehensive plan to create connectivity. Extending Prairie Rose Way will create a second egress point to Cedar Ridge and Rose Ridge subdivisions. Proposed development will construct 5 feet sidewalk on each side of the roadway, so also it helps with pedestrian connectivity. Proposed sidewalk would kind of be like a shortcut for the resident in Cedar Ridge and Rose Ridge to access Troy Pike, to the elementary school, and ultimately to downtown area. So that would be a very shortcut for this resident in the back. And then the following page, this is an aerial map showing basically Rose Ridge and Cedar Ridge subdivision. It shows that there's almost 356 single-family homes with one access point along Old Dry Ridge. And if you look at the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA 1141, for this kind of number of unit for fire code, for safety, it will require at least 2 entrances. So extending that road will create the second entrance that kind of put all these homes in kind of more in regulation with safety and and emergency vehicle access to that point. So the second one, it shows the code, the National Fire Protection Association. It shows, if you look at table 5.1, said for unit between 0 to 100, you require 1 entrance, 101 to 600, at least 2 entrance. So granting the zone change can help the safety and response time for emergency vehicle from Locust Avenue for the resident basically close to that subdivision. So all the homes are close to this roadway, they're going to have better fire protection response time. And then if we look at the Old Dry Ridge, this is Old Dry Ridge. So basically based on the current standard for the city of Versailles specification for roadway, that road is a substandard. Not only it's serving 355, 56 residents on one access point, and that road is substandard. What we're proposing is going to be more like meeting the standard requirement for the city with curb and gutters, wide street, wide sidewalks. So I believe this is great improvement for the safety in that area. So speaking about traffic studies, and the city has performed their own traffic studies, and then that's what they're proposing for Troy Pike is 5 lane with bike, I believe, and turn lane, and one option also to have a roundabout, which is, I did not show it, but this is the second option, being the signal at the intersection of Fallen Spring Boulevard and Old Dry Ridge, and where the arrow shows, this is where would be the future connection. So for community facility and services, we believe we are in agreement with goal number 1, 3, 4, 7. And the reason we believe we are is basically sanitary sewers will be provided by the city of Versailles. Water line will be provided by the city of Versailles. There's enough capacity. The proposed development will tie the existing water line from Dry Ridge to Rose Ridge. They will add redundancy to the system. So if there's any problem on Old Dry Ridge, there's redundancy for water lines that run into the back area. When you create redundancy, you are improving water pressure, you are improving water quality for drinking water. So this is also another additional benefit from this project. And then also this is kind of basically cost effective for the city, because this will be paid by the developer to make that connection and improve the water quality and the pressure in that location, in the back areas. Also, we believe that this second one, please. Okay, we believe that adding second entrance will improve public service and safety. It adds pedestrian connectivity from the adjacent neighborhood to Old Troy Pike. Some of these are repetition, but those kind of... Okay, yes, this is where it proved this safety and reduce the response time from the fire station located on Locust Drive to resident on Prairie Rose Way, Apple Road, Green Tree Road, Rosebud Road, Harkness Lane, Rose Ridge Lane, and other streets in the neighborhood area. The objective also in this proposal is to maintain the existing pond, and that will be used for, it will be protected with grass filters and some other native vegetation, and it will be served as a detention for the proposed development. So on the general land development, we believe we are in agreement with item number 1, 5, and 6, and number 7. And that's the reason is that we believe that the proposed development is a single family located in an area designated by the future land use map. The subject property is in current condition is underutilized land within the urban service boundary. Proposed development is single family resident adjacent to single family, and we are proposing also to maintain the vegetative buffer between both property, the Ball Home property, and this proposed development. And this is where we're talking about. So this area, this is the connection between the Ball Home and this proposal. So the fence line would be protected and enhanced with landscape buffer. And as you can tell, other residents are so significantly far from distance-wise from the proposal. And the two lots that we are abutting on Ball Homes are vacant lots. They are still basically working on the road. There's no homes over there, so still vacant lots. The goal and objective for natural resources and conservation, we believe we're in agreement with objective number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And and the reason, so this is our response why we are in agreement. Basically, we are protecting existing sensitive area on site, which is existing pond. And according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife map, that shows that the only sensitive area on this property is the retention pond, the wet pond. So, and our goal is to protect it so there's no water of U.S. on site or endangered species on site, and whatever is sensitive, we are protecting it. And this is the second sheet shows the map from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, where it kind of highlight where the pond is and as being kind of pond/wetland. And this will be protected as part of this proposal. And then our proposal will be 100% in compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. So the goal and the objective for neighborhood subdivision development, we're in agreement with goal number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 7. And so a lot of these are kind of repetition. So proposed development, single family, low density, adjacent to an existing residential. The agriculture use, and so we believe here that this property, we are in agreement with goal number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the reason we believe that is that the subject property is within the urban service boundary and designated on the future land use map for residential since 1977. For 48 years has been designated as residential. And the subject property has not been used for agricultural purpose for a long time. The subject property is underutilized property within the urban service boundary with adequate capacity of infrastructure. Not utilizing the full potential of land within the urban service boundary will lead eventually to expansion of the urban service boundary and loss of agricultural land for future development. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that keeping underutilized property within the urban service boundary and not develop it is going to lead to the expansion of the, sooner or later, is going to lead to the expansion of the urban service boundary. And whatever used to be good land for agriculture is going to be turned into development. So for employment.
Excuse me just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
There's just about 7 seconds left, and I would like to ask the commission's permission to let him continue to finish, if that's okay with you all.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
We got a motion to that effect.
Probably need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
go on.
So for employment, I believe we are in agreement with, even though this is residential, but we are in agreement with goal 1, 2, and 3. And the reason we believe we are in agreement because attracting industrial or workplace uses is essential for maintaining a healthy economy for the county. So one of the major factors that help to attract industrial or workplace is housing choice, availability, and affordability for the future employee. The proposed development provide the housing choice for a range of income. We believe this proposal will add housing choices, and also price-wise, it will be in line more with the future worker going to be in the county. So the second map is the future land use map. Mr. Hunter discussed it. So, and since 1977, this property has been designated on the future land use and the comprehensive plan to being residential. And we'll go to chapter 5 of the land use. So we are in agreement with the land use map in guideline number 1, 2, 4, and 5. And also for the infrastructure policy with policy 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also with area-wide policy description 1 to 10. And I did not want to repeat them, so that's why I'm putting them all into a summary. So in summary, basically, the subject property is located within the urban service boundary and has been designated on the future land use since 1977 for 48 years. So the subject property has not been used for agricultural purpose for a long time. The subject property is underutilized within the urban service boundary with adequate capacity and infrastructure. Proposed development is a single family next to a single family residential development. The maximum density for R1B and R1C, and the reason I brought R1B because the adjacent property is R1B, is 4 units per acre. The proposed development has a density of 2.98 units per acre, very consistent with whatever adjacent to it. And then also the proposed development will help to address safety and well-being of the public by eliminating a violation with National Fire Protection Association. By having a second entrance, it will improve the safety and reduce the response time for residents adjacent to the proposed zone change. Proposed development is 25 single-family lot, which is much less what's required for traffic study, but I believe connectivity always help reduce traffic delays. So extending the roadway and connecting to Troy Pike will create that connectivity. Proposed water line extension will add a redundancy to the water supply system for Cedar Ridge and Rose Ridge subdivision. And creating water line loop will improve the water pressure and water quality, drinking water quality for residents in that area. So in conclusion, and we believe we are in agreement with the comprehensive plan and the goal and objective, the land use district map and the area-wide land use district, or everything has discussed. And if there's any question, we'll be glad to answer it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Jihad?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why R1C and not R1B? Why not zone it? Why not ask for a zone for?
Because for multiple of reasons. Number one reason, the R1B lot, it's 80 feet wide lots. So I feel like 60 feet lot can serve the purpose of the project, number one. Both of them are low density. And there's a lot of R1B lots has been approved recently by the county, and the one on Poland Spring Boulevard, this is R1C, will give different choices for for future resident. And number 4, the R1C lot usually you'll have a smaller house on it, and I believe that the price range that will be more attractive to starter home. That's the goal.
Okay.
Any other questions for the developer? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, this is a public hearing. So the floor is open, and I had a sign-up sheet. And first on the sign-up sheet, and we'll give you 5 minutes to state your case, is Dean Stoops. If you don't mind, state your name.
Good evening, Chairwoman Perry, Commissioners. My name is Dean Stoops. I live in Helmsley Estates, directly across from the proposed Prairie Rose Way extension. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here tonight to respectfully oppose the request to rezone the 9.67 acres at 1470 Troy Pike from A1 to R1C. My first concern is about traffic safety, and I appreciate the developer's presentation and information about improving safety factors for that neighborhood in that area. However, every day, every school day, there's a long line of cars that forms in the southbound lane, turn lane, and on the northbound shoulder of the entrance to the Southside Elementary School. Many vehicles park partially on the pavement or on the road itself and partially on the grass shoulder, stretching from the school entrance southbound way past Rosecrest Cemetery all the way towards McDougal's Garden Center, right in front of the entrance and exit to Helmsley Estates. The bottleneck occurs daily between about 2:15 and 3:15 p.m. A police officer is there to help control and direct traffic at the school entrance, but the rest of the eighth of a mile stretch or so is uncontrolled. As a retired Army Aviation Safety Officer and accident investigator for more than 22 years, I can tell you this is an accident waiting to happen, and I don't believe that the safety concerns that the developer mentioned has taken into certain considerations. For example, turning right out of the new proposed Prairie Rose Way northbound on Troy Pike. The traffic flow is going to be blocked by cars parked on the side of the road waiting to get into the school. And for traffic turning left to go southbound on Troy Pike, coming out of there, their vision is going to be blocked from oncoming southbound traffic trying to cross that and to merge into that southbound traffic. So I think more studies, more work needs to be done on the traffic aspects of adding a entrance to the subdivision there across from Helmsley. Placing a new subdivision entrance to the Rose Ridge Estates directly across from Helmsley Estates, right in the middle of this choke point, will only magnify the risk. We should not approve additional access points here until infrastructure improvements are fully designed, funded, completed, and proven effective. I recognize that eventually this tract may become single-family residential, but the appropriate district standard, I believe, is R1B, not R1C. Rose Ridge Estates and the existing portion of Prairie Rose Way are zoned and built to the R1B standards. Slightly larger lots, wider frontage, and a consistent streetscape. R1C produces noticeably tighter spacing and smaller lots inconsistent with the current standards and existing lots. Approving R1C here would create an inconsistent hotspot of higher density within a low-density neighborhood. The proposal covers only 9.67 of the 22.5 acres, leaving the remainder of the tract for future rezoning requests, which also concerns me, which was brought up earlier this evening. In addition, survey comments in the 2022 Woodford Housing Study clearly state no conversion of agricultural land, stop out-of-control sprawl, and recommend large enough lot lines for backyards. These quotes from the study reflect countywide values, responsible growth, and consistency with existing neighborhoods. In this area, I believe R1B aligns with these values and R1C does not. The county recently also issued a new request for proposal for the 2025-2026 housing study to determine where new housing should go and what densities and how to balance growth with preservation. It would be premature to approve significant zoning intensification before that update analysis is complete. For all these reasons, the traffic hazards, the inconsistency with the R1B neighborhood, the piecemeal nature of the request, the community preference for low-density development, and the ongoing housing study, I respectfully ask that the Planning Commission deny the R1C zoning application at this time. If residential zoning becomes appropriate in the future, it should be R1B, consistent with the surrounding neighborhood and community expectations for this area along Troy Pike. Thank you for your time and consideration. Appreciate that.
You must have practiced because you were on the dot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Steve Baker? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mark Pearson's first.
My name is Mark Pearson, and I live in Rose Ridge, and I thank you all for your service and your time tonight. First thing I'd like to do is object to the A1 to R1C proposal that Vision Engineering is making tonight. I'd like to formally object to that. And earlier this year, we heard from them about changing this from A1 to R4. And I would like to say that all the issues that were raised during that time are still in play, even more so with the 200 plus apartments that are planned across the road now on Route 33. So another thing is we've got ordinances that are being looked at by the city and the county, and that it may not, as Steve said, have anything to do with this development, but down the road, if they want to do more with the other 12 acres in this plat, it will be more dense if they want to go more R1C here. So that being said, that, you know, the additional development that's already approved in Woodford County, that includes across the street on Troy Pike with the 200 plus apartments plus on down the way. And then the Ball homes that are going in on 60 and Bluegrass Parkway. I hear a lot of people say we don't have enough housing in this county, in this city. It appears to me that we've got a lot on the burner. So I hear a lot about what the state wants to do, what we're behind on our housing. You know, I'd just like to know that how many is enough, and why do we have to, as a county or a city, have to feel that brunt of making up the state numbers. Another thing that I'd like to say about what Steve said about the ordinances that are under review for the city, there's also ordinances under the review on the county side, which we want to stop so much development out in the county. But until those are passed, until those are slowed down where you can't in-family conveyance, rural residential out in southern Woodford County, you're even selling the point that there's going to be more developments out there, more sales of family property. So you're going to cause more issues on Route 33, even if those don't pass, and those are being taken up by the fiscal court in next month's session. So those haven't even passed, so that's still a problem that is affecting us. I call for a pause on rezoning here in the city for a while, because there's the ordinance changes that are taking place, possibly in the county. And we've got a lot of building going on. I know the place across from us, it's being built up. There's other ways to ingress and egress out of Rose Ridge and Cedar Ridge, but those probably will not be popular options for anyone. And I've heard over the last several meetings for the county, city, and planning education meetings where we are behind. We need more density within the city of Versailles and less density in the rural county. I would like to say that I'm opposed to that too. I'm opposed to those goals. I don't know where they were set forth, but I've heard them at least 3 times in the last month. So that's my opposition, and I thank you all for your time, and I would like to submit this for you all. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Steve Baker. Steve Baker. Okay, Vernon Azevedo.
I'm Vernon Azevedo. I'm a resident of the city of Versailles. I reside at 150B Rumsey Circle. I filed my objection to the proposed zone change and preliminary development plan, conceptual plan for 1470 Troy Pike with Miss O'Reel. I ask that it be forwarded to each of you, and I ask that it be made part of the record. I know Jihad, Mr. Elaney. I've worked with him in the past. I know he's a very competent engineer. But I have some objections that I'd like to share with you tonight. The proposed plan is silent with regard to the use of the 12.29 tract that will remain A1. It leaves the commission, it leaves the public asking the question, what's going to happen in the future? And Steve told you earlier, I think if I'm going to say correctly, that a future developer could come in and say, I want to make a change to the 12.29 acres here. We don't know what will happen with that tract of land with approval tonight. The plan also shows no access for the 12.29 acres. That tract will be landlocked. It will be landlocked by the proposed R1C. It will be landlocked by Ball Homes. It will be landlocked by the Barrow property. That leaves the only option for this planning commission in the future to approve another entrance or access way to the 12.29 acres onto Troy Pike. If you do that, that creates 6 intersections from Falling Springs Boulevard to Edmonds Crossings. 6 intersections in 2,130 feet, 38-foot stretch of Troy Pike. That's 0.4 of a mile. That's one intersection every 356 feet. That's basically one football field with the end zones between each intersection. But one access way to that tract does not meet the recently amended subdivision regulations requiring 2 entrances, and to which Mr. Elaney referred tonight with saying we need 2 entrances to the back areas here. Note 8 on the development plan calls for the pond to be maintained and used as an amenity for the R1C zone. But it is an off-site amenity, off-site, separated by the 12.29 acres. Is that an amenity? Note number 11 says the fence should be installed as a safety measure around the pond. But there is no deed covenant that creates ownership via an HOA or other responsible party for the tract or the pond. Ownership and ongoing maintenance for the pond is not defined. Let me say that again. Ownership and ongoing maintenance for the pond is not defined. Thus, the pond becomes an orphaned pond, and the 1.83 tract becomes an orphaned tract. No one or no party responsible for maintaining the property, and the property becomes an attractive nuisance. And the pond is proposed to function as a detention basin in detention mode with a retention basin. It holds water all the time, but it needs to detain the increased runoff from the development. Has the capacity of this pond to serve post-development in retention mode been evaluated? Will overflows or flooding onto the adjacent properties occur? We're all aware of the Palmer study and the impacts to the traffic. But Mr. Helaney also talked about the water system. The water system, and he referred to the connections, will be improvements in terms of water quality. But we don't have the detailed engineering analysis from the city that says we can reliably provide pressure and fire protection to all of the developed areas. Reliably provide fire protection and pressure and volume. That capacity doesn't mean the treatment at the plant. Capacity means treatment in the line, capacity in the lines as well. So in making your decision tonight, I urge the commission to deny approval of this plan and zone change. The plan is silent on the 12.29 acres. The plan does not show access for the 12.29 acres. It potentially creates 6 intersections on Troy Pike one intersection every 356 feet in 2,138 feet of Troy Pike. The pond has not been evaluated for use as a retention basin. No ownership and maintenance of the post-development pond is provided. The pond will become an orphaned pond and an attractive nuisance. The Palmer study documents where we are with regard to traffic and no evaluation of the water and sewer system. Let's catch our breath. Let's look at this development as a whole and not the individual parts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mark Williams.
My name is Mark Williams. I live in Helmsley. Thank you again for your service and all the time you guys spend. I know you get paid a great amount, but hope you get more. But thank you for your service. If this zoning were allowed, I'm opposed to it. I would say 1B at best. We've heard the reasons why from the two previous speakers. And we're only considering 9.65 acres. Again, I have questions about what do we do with the other 12 acres. Real concern. There's already a real traffic problem in the area. And if we put more exits, ingress, whatever, out on Troy Pike, we got a real serious problem. I don't think the city controls Troy Pike. I think the state owns it. Isn't that right? Okay. How long is it going to take the state to catch up if we have more roads coming out on the Troy Pike? I've heard 5 to 7 years. I don't know if they're even aware of the Palmer study. And this really concerns me because Troy Pike right now, the traffic flow is increasing daily. I mean, if you consider the 169 coming from Jessamine County, there must be all those people going to work in Frankfort because they come through there in the morning. You cannot get off the Bluegrass Parkway and come toward Versailles in the morning because of that traffic. Very difficult. You know, something else scares me is this Dennis Anderson development. That's been in the books a long time. We can't do anything about it. But you've seen the equipment up on the hill there. There's 220 apartments going in there now. There's a Wawa station going in. That's a big station. That's going to be a lot of traffic coming out onto Troy Pike. Is there going to be a traffic light down there? Do we know how the traffic is going to be controlled? State hasn't told us. I don't know. Has he got answers? Is he telling us what's going to happen there? That's going to really increase traffic on Troy Pike. I mean, I'm really concerned about that. We don't know. We don't know the effect of that. That's big for Versailles, I think. And we got to look at that. The growth coming off Falling Springs Boulevard, that's increasing all the time with the homes being built on off Falling Springs Boulevard. That's coming into play. More and more traffic there. So the traffic is the one big issue, man. It's something we got to consider. Now, the development, 25 lots, is that a big deal? Maybe not. But when you look at the traffic, it's not R1B. It's not compatible with the other homes beside it. We got a lot of development in the books in Woodford County. You got 522 apartments can be built on US 60 Lexington Road. You got 518 units out on Lexington Road west of Payne's Crossing. You got 50 units in Rose Ridge. You got 237 used. These are all approved at the Springs of Versailles. 95 units on Elm Street and McCracken. You got 96 units approved at Crossfield. Now, I think if you total these up, 2,269 units of either single or multifamily units that are approved on and could be built tomorrow. So do we really need more development right now until we catch up and take a pause of what all we're doing? You know, that's a lot to me. That's big. If we look how many people that would be per household, that's over 5,000 people that's going to be added to the city of Versailles. Is our infrastructure, our taxes, our schools, our roads going to be able to take all this? You know, I'm really concerned about it. So I'm recommending we consider a pause on any new development proposals inside the urban services. Just need to slow down, evaluate, consider what has been approved, and feel these ramifications before proposing to go do anything else. I think we need to keep Woodford County the kind of place we want it to be, not the kind of place some of these surrounding counties are. So I'm opposed.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, the next one, I cannot read the first name because somebody wrote over it, but Mr. or Miss McNulty? Nick. Okay. Somebody wrote over top of your name.
Mick McNulty, I live in Rose Ridge. I'm not going to beat the horse over again on the points that have been made. I think traffic's an issue. I think it's a bit ironic and in some ways hypocritical. I was here about 3 years ago when Rose Ridge 5 was being considered and brought up the fact that there was not a second egress, so that we should not approve that. But now the argument's the other way, that we need the second egress, even though the Rose Ridge is already there, phase 5. So it seems to float back and forth sometimes. Mark, I cannot reiterate more than what Mark just said, right? Versailles is approximately 10,000 people. We already have building projects that add thousands of people and hundreds of homes to this community. We continue to approve projects without really seeing what's going to take place from a traffic impact perspective. A study is great. The reality of what takes place with that traffic is another thing. Everybody who lives on South Main Street, that this is all going to funnel down to, the people on Montgomery Ave have been here when we went through this first proposal earlier this summer. And it is only going to be worse if we just keep adding homes and adding homes. I want to reiterate that it would be in the interest of the citizens of Woodford County and Versailles to put a pause on additional building approval. A home here, a home there, we get killed by 1,000 paper cuts. And that's what we're seeing now that people have opened their eyes to what's taking place on the Anderson properties and all this traffic that's going to funnel into this area. I am asking you to not approve this project, and I am asking you to please consider putting a pause on anything over, pick a number, 5 houses, 10 houses, because it's just going to keep adding to the problem. And most of you probably won't be here when we see the impact of it, because you won't be on the board, because it'll be 5 or 10 years from now. But people who are still going to be living here are going to live with it. So please don't approve this project and consider putting a pause in place, and I'd like this put on record.
Thank you. John Thompson?
Mine will be short and sweet. I'm John Thompson. I live in Starbridge, and I appreciate the time that you're giving me tonight to speak briefly. I want to thank each and every one of you for serving, and I want to especially thank Ms. Perry for her 15 years of service to this commission, and she's done a wonderful job. I simply want to say that I request that you all deny this zone change at this present time, and that you make a pause until the comprehensive plan and the housing study has been completed, and the citizens of Versailles and Woodford County have a chance to look at those documents and assess them and come together as a community and talk about all of the development that's going on, not only within the urban county service area, but also the county. Thank you very much.
Drew Costa?
Madam Chair, thank you. Commissioner, Steve, thank you so much for the time. My name is Drew Costa. I also live in Stourbridge, and this is more of a technical question. In looking at the information provided on the stat sheet, site stats, unless it's changed from the November 21st submission, the calculation had a gross density calculation of 1.1 units per acre. It was just presented tonight. Now it's 2.98 units per acre. Which is the correct number?
That original plan was submitted on the 20th and then revised, I think, 2 days later, 3 days later.
My apologies, I did not realize that. So let me continue on.
2.98 is the correct.
2.98 is the official.
There's a typo.
Okay. All right. Is there a mechanism where those of us who have requested this information can be informed of if there's an update to?
I didn't hand out the data, but I just know that the neighborhood came in pretty quickly and requested documents.
Sure.
And amendments happened during the tech review process, or not tech review, the staff review, and then I noticed that and asked that that be corrected, as well as one other item.
Okay.
So I don't actually know if we went through 2 or 3 versions. I
Okay.
don't recall.
So again, my question is then, of those of us who may have requested the data early, after the tech review, how does the public become apprised of the changes? Is there any mechanism?
I mean,
I guess just check back.
For
Closer we get, I mean.
Well,
a lot of people ask for data, email, pick it up. It's
right. So for every submission, the community needs to call your office periodically and say, has there been any change?
Or if we had a list, but we don't.
I mean, that doesn't seem to be quite
You all have
consistent
time
with.
to call
It's a
people.
one-person office.
What would you suggest?
I mean-
What would you suggest?
Well, if you have a distribution list of individuals who have made a request, because you typically leave your phone number, email on a particular plat or plan, is there not, and I appreciate you, Kim, that it is a one-person office.
Well, there's
But-
3 of us in there technically, but
Well, but,
2 of us don't do that.
but we're talking about a growth in a community that doesn't have the infrastructure to support the traffic that we already have. So how does the community in general keep apprised of these changes?
By coming to these meetings, regardless of changes to the application, it's still getting vetted at this public hearing, which fits with the due process requirements of Kentucky state law.
Great. Appreciate we adhere to the law. I'm looking for transparency.
Are you
and
trying to pick a
communication.
fight with this? Is that what you want to do tonight? I'm serious. Do you want to pick a fight? I don't.
No,
what do you-
no,
what
I'm
do you
not.
want?
I'm not fighting anything, sir.
Okay.
What I'm
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
for,
you are. You're suggesting
Richard,
that
what
we're
I'm
not keeping
asking
the
for.
public informed. And I don't know, if you come up with a great solution, so
A great
that Kim
solution,
isn't working
yeah.
80 hours a week and Steve's not working 8 hours a week and people don't have to raise their taxes, I'll go for it. I'll jump on it.
Sure. Thank you. In support of all the other individuals who have presented before me, I would also like to strongly urge for a pause on any development taking place until the studies have been completed. I'm sorry if that upsets you, sir. But,
I beg your pardon?
well,
Let's stay on the topic here. This is about the zone change, please.
All right, so until the traffic studies have been done and comprehensive plans been updated, I would strongly urge that the pause be held on future developments and plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete Peterson?
Hi, I'm Pete Peterson. I live in Adena Woods. I'd like to note that I appreciate the developers' work to continue to try to improve this project to fit some of the concerns that we've all had as neighbors. But I don't have a lot to add other than, Steve mentioned he's going to hear a lot about traffic. So it doesn't surprise me. Hopefully everybody knows about the issues on traffic. The comments made about folks getting off of the 33 onto the bluegrass in the morning. I don't see that. I leave earlier in the morning. I don't see the issue. I saw it at school today, happened to be on vacation, driving by, and it's like, oh my gosh, that traffic is unbelievable. But I do come home, coming from Lawrenceburg, and try to get off of the bluegrass between 4 and 5 in the evening, and it's unbelievable. Cars are backed up from Falling Springs all the way past the left turn lane, and I know there's been rear end accidents there because people just stop. They stop because they can't get in the left turn lane. And to me, I also stand opposed. I would like a pause for sure until the development is completed that's going on 33 now to see what that's going to do. People are getting off of the bluegrass to go to this gas station. It's just going to compound the issue that already exists. I would like to pause until the state changes 33 to meet the traffic issues we have today. But I stand opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. John Novak?
Yeah, no problem. Good evening. My name is John Novak. I am a neighbor of Pete's, live in Adena Woods. I would like to oppose the zoning change. As a resident of Woodford County, I just feel that we should take a pause in all of this building, and I do think that the elephant in the room is the Anderson development that's going on right now. And when we start to see the impact of that, we're really going to be and have real problems. So I do oppose the zone change for all the reasons that the previous speakers had put forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all that's on the list. Come on up and state your name.
I didn't know we had a sign up. Hello, my name's Chad Grant. I live in Mortonsville. Agree with everyone else here. Also agree with the gentleman there asking about the rest of the acreage, what's going to happen. I would not be surprised if we'll be back here again doing the same thing for the other portion of the property. Agree with the traffic. I don't even go that way in the morning to take my son to school because it's way backed up. You can't even, and to try to go on Bluegrass and get off and go back into town is impossible. You'll get killed. The 200 apartments, I'm super surprised that even got approved. That is, I've only been here a year, so I didn't know that. But I also think, and I don't know, like the gentleman said, you come to the meetings. As you can see here, I'm probably the youngest guy here because we all have families. People can't come here every other day to fight every other development. And I have not met one person that says that we need more development. I have not met one citizen. I'm not saying they're not there, but I have not met one Woodford County citizen my age that says they can't find a house. Like the gentleman said back there, there's 2,000 units on their way. I don't even know how you do that, but I think there should be some ordinance, something that until you get a certain portion of these, there should be no more changes of zoning. So I oppose this, and I agree with the other folks, that there should be a pause. I moved my family to Woodford County for exactly the way it is, a small town. I've lived in 4 small towns in my life, and they've all been ruined by this exact thing. Slow urban sprawl, and then it's gone. We didn't look in Nicholasville for this reason. We didn't look in Lexington for this reason. We love this community. We love the way it is, exactly the way it is. As one of the gentlemen said, you could do it 5 at a time or 3 at a time. Like, you don't have to go 1,000 units or 500 units or 200 units. You can go slow. Right on High Street, they just built 4 townhouses. That's perfect slow growth. Slow and steady growth instead of these massive things. Again, that 200 unit apartment is gonna, it's gonna make that, it's already bad, the traffic. I can't even imagine what that many more cars is gonna do to that area. And like the one gentleman said, a Wawa, which is not a small station. Like, the traffic there is gonna be crazy. But again, I oppose it. This, and I believe we should pause until there's a certain, again, I don't know how you figure that out, 80%, 90% of approved units have been built. Because what happens if all these developers at one time decide, hey, let's do it all at once? Then we're going to get hammered. So I appreciate y'all's time. I know that you guys are staying here late, and this is not an easy job. But again, just for my age group, as the gentleman said, look, we can't come to these meetings. I literally got a text from my wife, my son's wanting to snuggle with me, but I'm here because this is important to me. So there's got to be a better way to do this as well, where the public knows what's going on. I was at the barber shop, and people were talking. They had no idea 200 units were going out there until they saw 50 rock trucks and a whole bunch of dirt. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
I apologize, didn't get here. I was tied up at work, but missed the presentation. I was wanting to be there, part of that.
State your name, please.
My name's David Kratt. I live in Stourbridge subdivision, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you directly, Ms. Perry, for a lot of hard work and dedication over many years. I hope you rest well in retirement from this. You've deserved it. You've earned it. And thank you for everybody on the commission, because I know this can be a very tough job. Just a couple another comment. The Anderson development, I followed that. Regrettably, not soon enough. When the zoning was changed around 2011, that's when the battle was lost, okay? Picked up, thank goodness it's not a Walmart that was proposed in 2014. But again, the battle was lost at the zoning point, and there's going to be a lot of change just for what's already going to be developed and built, and there's going to be a lot more change when the rest of that is developed and built. So that aside, I respectfully submit that I formally oppose the application to rezone the current A1 property to R1C. I believe the most appropriate zoning would be R1B at best, not 1RC. My primary concern is, in its current form, the application rezones the 9.67 acres out of 222.5 acres to R1C. That's not a complete picture of what's to become of the remaining 12.8 acres. And sorry if there's been changes and the math might be a little off, but I think you got my point. The commission needs to have the complete picture of what's planned before making a decision. The entire 22.5 acres sits in a critical area, particularly with the traffic and access along 33 that we've all heard about very much. I'm asking the developer modify the zoning application by committing to no further zoning changes on the remaining 12.8 acres and keep this as green space. This would also result in no additional access points along Dry Ridge Road, Old Dry Ridge Road and 33 in this vicinity, which is a big positive point from the traffic perspective, as we've all heard, and even in the short time I've been here. Therefore, I respectfully urge that the commission reject the proposed zoning application at this time. Vision Engineering's application comes at a time when obviously many citizens in Woodford County want to see a pause in the new development and the permanent loss of prime land both inside and outside of the urban services boundary. The level of development that is currently in progress is rather overwhelming to many of us here. I ask that you consider pausing all new development proposals inside the urban services boundary until the comprehensive plan and the housing study has been completed and considered by the citizens of the Woodford County and Versailles. This pause would not be an imposition on the community and on developers, since there are already the 2,269 single-family and multifamily units already approved for construction at this time. We are not at a critical stage for housing supply in the near term. Thank you for your time. I respectfully submit this document for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
My name is Steve Kraler, and I live in the Shire, and I've been here 8 years. 30-year veteran of Central Kentucky and lived in Jessamine County. I moved out of Jessamine County, and I love Jessamine County, but I show you the alternative to, you are the guardians to the community. You are the ones that help us plan our growth. And Jessamine is a wonderful place that I lived for 30 years. I moved away and came back to Central Kentucky, and I wanted to come to Versailles because I knew where I was in Jessamine, and I knew the community in Versailles. The growth that we experienced in Jessamine was just phenomenal. As a teacher, we got 100 new students for 30 straight years. Couldn't keep up buildings. We split sessioned. We did everything we had to do. You are keeping that from happening. And so I applaud you. And I think the leadership that you have gives us that. And I live in the Shire, and I now move right onto Falling Springs. And you may not know, but I think I'm not alone. We are increasing the right-hand turn traffic into town past the middle school. And that is a very small road. But rather than go through town, people are coming down and going the other way. And that's an impact that is unanticipated, but it's the best way to get to town in many ways at certain times. So I would oppose this. I don't know if the city planning needs infrastructure space. The city itself needs infrastructure, fire station, police stations, other kinds of infrastructure space for this property that might work. But residential seems to be well explained by anybody else past me as very, very detrimental to 33. And thank you.
Sir, can you tell me your last name one more time?
It's got an A sound in it, and it's not an A in it. It's Kroehler. I was city council member in Wilmore.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll let the developer come back and close.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Start on traffic safety. So that's the purpose of the left turn lane has been kept on the plan. So can a resident coming into Prairie, Rose Ridge Way, so they can make a left, so they're not going to be blocking traffic or interrupting traffic. That's one of the safety has been added. And also on the pond will be owned by the landowner, will be maintained by the landowner until there will be homeowner association, and then it will be turned to the homeowner association at such time. And then the accesses, there will be an access from through an area to can access the pond, and this is something we can locate it as soon as when we get further into the design where the grading allowed to do that, so it can be easily accessed, and this is something we can commit to. There will be an access to the pond to maintain it, and access for the pond for the resident to get there. And the ownership of the pond will be the landowner ownership, the developer ownership, until the homeowner association is established and will be turned into the homeowner association. And let's go back. I mean, here we go. We have, I mean, there is why the 9 acres? Okay, because if you recall on the previous hearings, it's too much. What you're proposing is too much. This is not, does not fit. This is not the right area. Well, I mean, we came back into 85 units, still too much. And now we're coming with 25 units. And that's the reason why it's the 9 acres, is because I need to do something with that property. This is the property has been in the urban service boundary for 47 years, 48 years. It has all the infrastructure on it. It's the last piece of property has not been developed between Old Dry Ridge, between Troy Pike and that area. That's the only left property.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't start that for you.
So, so basically, that's the reason. The reason I did not brought the other side, because during the hearings there was discussion while the garden center is part of the history of the town. We like it. It has its own access. It will maintain it. That's kind of a normal extension of that roadway to Troy Pike to get that over there, keeping the garden center in place, keeping the single family in place, and how this has come up with this layout. The question is going to be, okay, is this going to get developed in the future? Anything is going to come in the future is going to be in front of this body, and we cannot do anything without the permission of this body. But as for now, based on the comment we get from the previous hearing, it's too much, need to be scaled down. Okay, it has been scaled down significantly. Why R1C, not R1B? Both zones allow maximum 4 units per acre. R1B, it's maximum 4 units per acre. R1C, 4 units per acre. What you are looking into today is 2.98 units per acre, not even 3 units per acre. So there's a lot of R1B in town. The Planning Commission has approved a lot of R1B. There's a need for R1C, in my opinion. And we go back to the gap study. It's not done by me, it's done by the state. It shows in 2029, most of the housing is needed between 80% to 120% of the AMI, if you look at it. And that's what we are targeting in that range, what the need for in 2029. The 2029 gap study took into consideration what has been approved before in Woodford County. And it looked into what has been approved and what's left to be, what's the needed. And then what's needed shows there's over 2,000 units needed in the county by 2029. So for all this reason, this is the layout that's in front of you. And I ask you to can approve it. We are in agreement with the comprehensive plan. That property has been in the urban service boundary for a long time, and the comprehensive plan land use map since 48 years. I mean, I don't know what more it takes to get this property, to get it approved. And if you have any question, we'd be glad to answer it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone, well, I guess I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay, commissioners, any thoughts, questions, concerns? What are you thinking? Anybody have any thoughts on it?
Madam Chair, if I might pose a quick question, Mr. Halani.
Yes.
Do you have any response to the concern that was raised that you're basically forcing the ag lot to access onto Troy Pike?
This is how it is accessed right now.
Okay.
If you put an aerial map, this is exactly how it's accessed.
Mm-hmm.
No change on that lot to access. Yes, sir. Nothing.
There was a comment earlier that the remaining 12 acres will be landlocked. I've gone to McDougal's off Troy Pike, so it's not landlocked.
It's not landlocked. It's not landlocked.
I thought I was, okay.
There's a driveway, comes off Old Dry Ridge Road, goes into it, just above the pond, between it and the barn. So it does have access. It's not landlocked. This roadway,
Well, that's the driveway we're seeing right there.
the drive he proposes coming across from Helmsley. Madam Chair, I say we stand on this one for a while.
I will.
Or sit on it. I'm staying. Sit on it for a few while. Listen to the community. I think they're right. I think we're moving too fast this year. We have approved a lot of properties. A lot hasn't even come out of the ground yet. They keep talking about. We do have a lot on the. We need to sit down ourselves and just map out how many houses have we approved in this county.
Here, here.
As far as the piece of property, my suggestion would be if we did prove it, the 12 acres left, be left daylight, use it as a park or a green space as we do not have enough of, they say. The pond, there's two things there. It is a catch basin for the runoff coming out of the other existing land, clear back past the school and the cemetery comes to that pond. It does flood, but then you're putting a fence around it, and you want somebody to take care of it. You have to point somebody to take care of that, because not everybody's going to volunteer to go down and clean that pond up or maintain it. I do appreciate you leaving the McDonald property in place, but there is also a house there, a barn. It's not in tied with your property. I'm just looking this thing over. I take my grandchildren to school in the morning. I know what your traffic jam is, morning and evening. Even try to get to Lexington in the mornings. Even going out the back way of our subdivision to Fallen Springs to go out is a nightmare. And as they say, with the Anderson property coming on board one of these days, the state hasn't stepped up yet. Either direction. They talked about a roundabout. That means taking out more land in the corners to build a roundabout. And you're going to have a good sized roundabout, not just these small ones that have been putting in these towns, because the truckers take them out. I could take you to 2 or 3 I've seen where the truckers have done ripped them up. I don't know what the answer is here, folks. But we do have a problem. Yes, there's land been bought up, and he needs to recover his money.
So are you saying that you think we ought to put the vote off and consider
I think we put the vote off until we... Correct. Put the vote off tonight.
Making that motion?
I am making a motion. We postpone this vote to a future
Not if we just want to consider, we don't have to have justification for that, if we just want to.
The table,
No, we don't have to have justifications, but are you saying, Mr. Hunter, we would need a waiver of the
I mean, the
approval
state
window?
law, I know we love to table stuff and punt it, but the state law requires y'all to take action within 30 days unless the developer waives that requirement. I'll let our attorney talk about that, just like it makes the government take action when it gets there. State law is structured where planning commissions have to handle their business in a timely fashion to be fair to all parties. And I know there's been talk about a pause, and I'm not sure how you pause developments that are already approved unless the city did a moratorium or something. At this point, I mean, properties are approved and folks have rights, and we can't stop those. But
new property to be approved.
And I understand, but there's an application before y'all, and the state law requires y'all to handle it, and unless the developer waives that requirement. I'll let Henry expand on that. And
I think we have 60 days.
Or 60 days, I'm sorry, it's 60 days. But that's the problem when we table these, hunting them down there, we get into advertisement issues. And so you guys can table it till next month, but we're right back to, you guys got to somehow get to a finding one way or the other and deliberate through that.
So, does your motion stand that you want to put this off and think about what the community said in the next 30 days?
So you mean we come back in 30 days with either do it again or table it again?
I guess we come back 30 days, you guys are back here trying to make a decision, I guess, but I don't see how you just pause something because
Okay,
you want to just,
I'll follow you.
you know, I was thinking your request was more that maybe we should just pause or hold off, like's been suggested, a broader pause, but if you're saying just table it.
No, I'm not saying,
try to make a
okay,
decision.
let me back up. I'm not tabling this. Let's just pause this whole project. What's the language I need to put on that?
Well, so yeah, I think our options here are to send a recommendation of approval to city, send a recommendation of denial, to table it until next month, at which time we would have to make one of those decisions. If we don't, and if we don't have a waiver from the applicant, then it's forwarded to the city without without a recommendation. And our director's right that it is the task of this body to send recommendations. As far as having a general pause or a moratorium, that's a legislative action that we can't do. So.
Okay.
So,
All right, I agree with you.
I'm just wondering, what difference would it make between now and 30 days with the traffic? I know the traffic is bad. I live on Clifton. Come out Martin Luther King, I cannot get out. I know it's bad. But what difference would it make in 30 days? Would the state do something within that time to make it any different?
No, the state's not going to do anything in 30 days.
And also, I do believe we need more 1C instead of B. I think there's a need for 1Cs. That to be said.
Okay, that's fair. What's your opinion?
Yeah, we've got a lot of information. We've heard a lot of comments tonight from the community. I know traffic is a problem. I live in Adena. Left-hand turns are becoming more problematic, especially in the morning. But we've also heard a lot of stuff from the applicant. This property is surrounded by residential.
It is.
It is surrounded by residential. Other than the nursery business, landscape business that's there, not a lot can be done as far as a agricultural operation, in my opinion. Now, but I'm going to move that we table this until the January meeting. I want to digest this. We've got a lot of information tonight. We've got. I was prepared. I read everything, but I want to digest the comments. So I'm moving that we table this until the January meeting. That's my motion.
Second motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. In the interim period, I'll prepare findings for and against on this. And I would be interested to hear if there's any thing that commissioners wish to be highlighted or think is a particular concern that would justify one recommendation or another, especially if there's anything that you want to add or clarify from the comment tonight. And if there's not, there's not.
Okay. I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Motion carries. All right, the next, we still got meeting to do here, guys, so,
For clarification, we're not keeping the public hearing open.
no, the public hearing is
Yeah,
closed.
thank you.
Yes,
I just heard some.
It is closed.
I know, I just heard somebody say.
right. Our bylaws.
Just making sure.
If you all can make a hasty exit, we still got things to do, and it's 8:30.
And snow is coming.
Is it snowing?
It is.
Is it snowing yet?
Okay, the next
don't
thing
know.
on the
It's a tough
agenda
issue.
is the bill pay list,
Yeah.
and notice Kim has used red and green. Here he is. Any questions on the bill pay
I'd rather
list?
deliberate.
Finance and budget report? Construction sureties report? Announcements? You have any announcements?
Merry Christmas to you and everybody else, and enjoy your retirement.
Motion to adjourn.
I feel like I see Madam Chair smirking because she happened to be here in January. I just want to call her out on that.
I would have voted.
Yeah, that's why I opposed. I know you would have.
Do we have a
Move,
motion
move
to
to it.
adjourn?
Yes.
Move to adjourn. Floyd, you missed your chance. Floyd likes to do that.
Okay, I have a motion.
Feet. We know it with our feet.
Yeah, all in favor of adjournment? Aye. I would-